Samuel Langer and grew up in Boston. I would say I've always been really into psychology and like personal growth, and then I've been really interested in entrepreneurship and creativity, and just this question of like, how do you turn ideas into reality? I was really interested in how communities gathered and created these narratives that would bring them together.
Was looking into really thinking about like different modalities of education, of teaching and learning in a way that reminds us of who we really are, of how we belong to this earth and our role on this earth. So I was really looking at schools where I could have kids learn how to live in harmony with this earth.
My name is Indi Rishi Singh, and Eden Forest Collective, I feel more than the entity of Eden Forest Collective brought me, it's more of the nature, the syntropy, the complementary aspects of nature being present here, whether it's the water, it's the trees, it's the plants, it's the animals, it's the people, and I also feel the abundance. I think that's something that really resonates with me, that the story of abundance, the story that we actually have more than what we need. How can we share it?
Hello, my name is Jenna Reeder, and I always say magic brought me to the farm. Magic brought me to California. Syntropic agroforestry. Syntropy, or like the other side of it is entropy. Entropy is chaos. So syntropy, syntropic, synergetic, organized chaos, basically.
My name is Maya, and I found myself here mostly because I think the past 6 years I've just been on this journey of really focusing my energy on the environment and learning about the environment and learning about bees and mushrooms and syntropic agroforestry, and kind of bringing these concepts that we find here into my consciousness.
Just as we're going through this land right now, like everything has like a part to play, so to speak, right? The worms, the soil microbes, right? The kale. So it's like us as humans, and then especially me in particular being in this position, we've taken on the roles here as stewards, right? So to me, stewarding is like a trustee, right? To where this is all just temporary, right? All of our life experiences are temporary. And so we're given, this allotment, and it's our responsibility to take care of it as best we can.
My name is Kimberly Rice, and I have been with this land for a couple years. The previous owners, Molly Englehart and Elias Sosa, they own restaurants called Sage. And so I run the brewery side of that. So I've been coming to this farm for about 6 years. And then I moved here almost a year ago. When I started learning about regenerative agriculture and coming out here, not only the power of like being in nature is huge in itself, but when I started coming out here and learning about regenerative agriculture, the deeper that I dug, there was more answers that I found that all seemed really hopeful, and it solved, just a litany of different issues.
I'm prototyping with a couple families who come to the farm, and we're curating these days for children. We're learning from the kids who are coming in how we can best curate for them, how we can best create the space for them to freely explore what it means to be human on this earth.
So last year I began working with Benki Biako, and he speaks into this a lot and has been doing this work for decades of agroforestry and planting the earth and speaking about, again, the concepts that are both spiritual and physical. So that we're not just planting the earth without our consciousness involved.
I'm really big on education. I feel we need to reimagine education completely, especially with universities, colleges, high schools, whatever it is. Those education systems are failing us in the most part. So this place, I feel, could be a kind of ecoversity. It could be a place for people to come and learn, not just how to work and collaborate with nature, but how to collaborate with humans better. And how do we reimagine systems that are healthier for humans, healthier for the planet, but also generate a different kind of currency, a different kind of flow.
I was also really interested in this concept of healing. Like, what does it mean for people to psychologically heal, to psychologically grow? So I started learning a little more about the physical world and what's happening with the earth and climate and agriculture. And I got really interested in some of these larger agricultural questions and started studying it from an investment perspective, like what are interesting agriculture investments. And then I discovered this type of agriculture called syntropic agroforestry, which seemed to me like the most positive form of agriculture for health of the environment, health of the individual, but it didn't really have a business model because traditional farming methodologies really are about how efficiently you can grow food and harvest that food and sell that food, which doesn't really line up with like what's best for human health and what's best for planetary health. But what was interesting about this syntropic model was I thought, you know, even though it doesn't seem to be a great business model for selling food, it seems it could potentially be a good model for gathering people. So I thought, well, what if you gathered people around this idea of creating a food forest, which was really this question of like, how do you feed the earth? How do you feed each other? How do you learn and connect to nature and create this collaborative environment? And what if we made that more of a communal activity, growing a forest?
And showing and inviting people to be like, this is, like, you can do this in a little house or like in a neighborhood. Instead of the grass, you can do this.
I really do see this farm being a model for communities like this who are really, I want to say, disenchanted by the current system that we've built for ourselves.
So if folks can come here and learn how to be smarter and wiser and more curious and more imaginative and more problem solvers and more solutionaries, then when they go back to wherever they're from, whether they're coming from another country, they're coming from another part of the United States, they can go back and build that abundance there.
Make it a sustainable model for future generations, right? To be able to perpetuate this model in several different geographic locations across the world as an educational platform to help people reconnect just as I reconnected.
Something about this agroforestry technique I felt like was teaching me something about what could create long-lasting health and abundance, right? And part of that has to do with like creating the right ecosystem. So instead of focusing on like we're gonna grow as much of this one tree as possible, we're actually going to try to plant a whole diverse ecosystem. And some will be different heights, some big, some small, and we'll even cut some and put them back on the earth because that'll serve the rest of the ecosystem.
Everyone that sees this should start planting.
It's been so satisfying to feel my connection to nature deepen and be revitalized. I feel like that's what we want to teach and share with people, is like remembering the indigenous way of living with the earth.